Are you someone who is feeling some dissatisfaction with your life right now? It's so common in midlife to kind of look at our body and it's just not doing what, what it used to do, or not performing the way we normally do. Our emotions are out of control. Our brain's not functioning the same. Or maybe it's something on the outside that you don't feel you have the prosperity or your relationships. There's something normally that comes up during this time of our life that we are somewhat dissatisfied with, and we don't know how to make the change. So take out your pen and paper and let's start making the shift.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Dr. Manon Fielding with Balancing Hormones and Powering Lives. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about how can we make significant changes and shifts in our lives in menopause and beyond. And how do we go about doing that? Because a lot of times there's just so much fear and so much stuff going on in our head, even though we may not be entirely happy. And you may have thought, well, it's kind of too late for me. I'm here. And you look around and you're maybe stuck in a relationship you're not happy with. You may be look around in your environment. You're not happy with where you are in life. If you look back and say, no, this is not where I thought it was going to be. Or you may also have left something behind, like something that you really wanted to do that you just never accomplished and feel also it's too late. So, like the Talking Heads song, Once in a Lifetime, and you think about, how did I get here? So, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I want you to understand that we made the choices to be here. And that is the bad news. But the good news is that starting from today, we can choose something different. And we're going to go over a little bit about how I did that and how you can do the same thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about my own journey that one of the things that I decided to do is in my 60s, I decided to go back to school because I had always wanted to be counseling. I was very enamored with psychology and understanding how people motivation and why they did things. And also that one-on-one relationship, sitting and talking and understanding. And so I did that. I went back to school. I graduated in 2000 and got my degree. And then I also decided to get my coaching certification. So I'm also a spiritual life coach. And I did that because coaching is a little bit different than psychology. And I kind of like the idea of starting from today and moving forward rather than looking back over all the things that have happened to us and all the negative things that have influenced us, and just take it from the perspective of, okay, we're here now, and how do I move forward to be happy and healthy in my life? And that was something that was very important to me. So that's why I got the coaching certification. So that was exciting, and I really pushed through going back to school because it's not easy to go back to school when you're in your 60s, but there are actually some benefits. I felt like I was able to focus a little bit better than I did in my 20s when I was in my undergrad. There definitely were some advantages, but I was really one of the oldest people in the class. But then after I started working through that, I one of my mentors I realized had gone back and gotten her doctorate in her 60s and was close to 70. So it's really something that we all can do. And I'm going to give you a couple of other examples. So, Grandma Moses, and this is something I just found out, she was an incredible artist, painter, and she didn't start painting until she was in her 70s and did her best work in her late 70s at 78. And she didn't die until she was 101 in the 1960s. So she actually was born in 1860. So when she was doing all of these things. It was very in the early part of the 1900s. And that's pretty amazing, actually. And how about Diana Nyad. She's another one that has been a real inspiration for me. I just recently watched a video about her life that was very well done. She actually decided to swim the channel from Florida to Cuba when she was in her mid 60s. And she had failed at it way earlier in her life. And now in her 60s, when she was not in the best shape of her life, she decided that that's what she wanted to do. So she does get herself into shape and she does do it. She almost kills herself in the process. And I'm not advocating for you to take those kind of risks, but I mean, you can if you want to. I've kind of decided I really am not excited about jumping out of a plane, but some people, that's what they want to do, or climb the tallest mountain. That's another thing I don't wanna do, but I did what made me happy, and that's the important thing, looking at what excites you. So those were some women that I found inspiration from. And I want to read this quote from Marissa Mayer, who was a former CEO of Yahoo. She said, "If you push through that feeling of being scared, that feeling of taking a risk, really amazing things can happen." And that's the mindset that I want you to embrace. It's not about being fearless, it's more about embracing the fear and moving past it because you realize that the fear is not real. It's just something that we make up in our own head. So let's talk about some things that we can do to move forward on that and take some practical steps.
So let's talk about you right now. You have dreams, and we all do. A lot of times we have really squashed them down due to things that others have said to us. You're no good at that. You're never going to be able to do that. Or just our own fears that developed over time. And I just want to tell you that this is very common. And I certainly experienced it myself when I went back to school and I was like, I'm too old. So, this is not just something that you're feeling. But I'm going to give you some steps right now, 4 steps to help you move forward in your dreams. And I want you to just take a minute or two, a couple of minutes to do each step. So the first step is to reflect on your passions. And I just want you to take out a pen and paper and actually write it down because we're taking action. And that's the first step. So what are things that you love to do? Do you want to paint? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to climb a mountain? Do you want to jump out of a plane? Do you want to learn how to dance? We all have different dreams and things that sometimes things that we have done before that we stopped doing when we had a family or relationship, or it could be something you've never done before, but you've always wanted to do. So take a minute or two to write that down. And don't analyze it too much. Just write it down. Okay, so step 2, you're going to think about one of those dreams that you have, no matter which one it is, kind of, decide, prioritize it, and pick just one of those that gives you the most excitement, that when you think about doing it, it makes you happy. And that's the one that you're going to pick, all right? And I want you to think of one or more baby steps that you can take towards that goal. It could be something as enrolling in a class, starting a new hobby, looking on Meetup, reaching out to a mentor, picking up the phone and talking to someone who's involved in that you might talk to about it and find out how to get involved. When I went back to school, one of the things I did was make phone calls and look up online all the different schools that offered degrees that I was interested in, counseling, addiction counseling at that time. And I looked at the local area as well as looking online, and I decided to do the one online once I evaluated it. But I would just took little baby steps towards that goal, and it actually took a couple of years to manifest, but one step at a time. So take a minute to set that goal, and then we'll go to the next step. And step three is learning how to embrace a growth mindset, because as we get older, we get a little more frustrated with ourselves when we don't do something right or it's not perfect. And we make a lot of when we make a mistake, sometimes we beat ourselves up about it. So the important thing here is to understand that every little step is progress. Progress is not perfection. And you can, after a period of steps, and you look back and you go, oh, okay, I have, moved forward in my goal. And it is kind of amazing to kind of think about where you are versus where you were, and embracing that as part of your growth. And you can grow at any age. And as I've given you many examples of that. So that's the third step. Okay, and step 4 is also an action step, and it's really an important part because a lot of times we just need a little support. It could be one or more avenues of support with our family, our friends, a community, and you need at least one person or at least someone that can encourage you when things are not going so great and you start feeling overwhelmed, because that's a normal feeling, to feel a little overwhelmed, and find that support system. And it could be the community that you're getting ready to join, someone that could be, if you're starting to paint, someone in a class, or hopefully that you have some family support. But if you don't, reach out and find the support that you need, especially if you're really jumping out of your box and you need a little bit of encouragement. All right, that's step 4, and you can write that down. That is helpful as well. Okay, so before we wrap up for today, I'd really love for you to leave a comment about what you want to be when you grow up. It would be inspirational for others, and it helps you to take that step to actually put it out in the universe. Okay, look forward to reading those.